Hey, everybody, welcome back to Subscription Box Basics. Today is a very, very special episode. I have Carol Gavani. She is the new co-owner of Sparkle Hustle Grow. We figured it's been 6 months since I sold the business to Carol and her husband, Amar, and why not get on a podcast together and just chit chat about it? You guys heard my story about selling. Now you get to hear the other side of the story. So, Carol, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
I am so pumped to be here. I cannot wait to dive into the whole thing with you.
Yes. Okay. So I feel like this might be a little bit of a gush fest because, guys, when we found Carol and her husband, it felt like we found our dream buyers. So we're going to really tell the story of that. But first, Carol, will you please introduce yourself? Because a lot of people will be meeting you for the first time.
Yes, I certainly will. So Carol Gavani here. I am co-owner of Sparkle Hustle Grow along with my husband. He's a little bit more of a behind the scenes kind of guy. I have a background in corporate advertising before this, so over a decade's worth. We ran a small business together with my husband right before we got into Sparkle Hustle Grow. I've got 2 kids. They're growing so fast now, ages 10 and 5, and I live just outside of Seattle.
Very good. Okay. So why don't we just start with, tell us the story of why you wanted a business, because most of the people that listen to this podcast or that I've worked with are starting a subscription box business from scratch, but you bought one that was already well established. So why was it that you wanted to buy a business to begin with?
Yeah, totally. So Amr and I had started our business before this, and that business was an intentional jewelry business. It was our first business. So we kind of looked at it as like a starter business, so to speak. It's the one like where we made a whole bunch of mistakes. We tried all of the things. And I think it's so interesting. So we both don't have like an entrepreneurial background. Both of us come from the corporate side, which I feel like a lot of people do. A lot of people that I meet who are starting businesses have that background. So one thing was for certain, we knew we didn't want to go back to that. Like we have caught the bug and the bug is here to stay, right?
Yes.
So that was kind of the first. But we also knew in running Asha Blooms, like that season was ending for us. So I made the jewelry. It was all good. I felt a little drained by just kind of that. So a little bit of the burnout that I think a lot of people, when they run their own thing, they encounter. And it was time for us to see what else was out there. I have to be honest, like I didn't even think about buying something until we were really in it. I didn't really fully know that this is something that's available to any individual. Because, in your head, you're just like, okay, it's something big corporations do, like the mega millions, mega billions, whatever. It's not really accessible to kind of the normal, the lay person.
Yeah.
But somehow we thought of this, like, what if we went out and we could see what else is out there?
Sure.
Let's just peruse around and let's see. And then this kind of fell into our laps almost. And we went down a little bit of a rabbit hole, and lo and behold, now we're the owners.
It is so wild to think about, because as you were talking with your husband about, I think we're ready for our next season, I was having those same conversations on the other side of the country. We did not know each other before this transaction, before the sale and acquisition of the business. And I think that that's important to talk about just briefly, because we do go through seasons of life. What my life as an entrepreneur looked like when my daughter was in kindergarten looks very different now than it does when she's in middle school. And it's impacted by every angle. And so it was just interesting that you and I were kind of going on these parallel routes where we're finalizing a season and ready for the next. Neither of us knew what that next season was, though. So how did you begin that search? Like, did you just go to bizbuysell.com, which is an online marketplace for buying and selling businesses?
Yes, totally. That's actually what we did, because it's like, where do you even go? Where do you start? I don't think many people know, where to start. So you just go to the internet and you're just businesses for sale, right? Like you just Google a phrase. And then I think one of the first few listings that came up was this website that you just mentioned, which
Mhm.
for people out there is honestly, it's an aggregator of listings. So if you want
Yeah.
to sell a business or buy a business, most likely that website will capture that listing.
Yeah.
And we just kind of went through it here and there. Again, we weren't really serious because we're still running Asha Blooms. By this time we have gotten through holiday, which for us is a huge, very chaotic and very busy season. So we've gotten through that. We have a little bit of a lull, of a break, and we're just seeing what's out there, what captures our eye. And there wasn't a lot. It's a mix of brick and mortar, online, e-commerce, international. You can put the filters on, but there wasn't a whole bunch until
Mhm.
we saw this listing, which I did not know was Sparkle Hustle Grow at the beginning, because everything is stripped. It's just the bare bones basic, right?
Yeah. So did you have an inkling? Like, did you think, oh, I wonder if this is Sparkle Hustle Grow?
I did. So I saw this listing and it said a subscription box for female entrepreneurs. And I have to say, I'm sitting down and I physically like leaned in, like
Ooh.
I leaned in and I was like, what is this? And I went like closer to my laptop and I was like, I wonder if it's that one business that I love from afar, right? Because we did
Mhm.
not know each
Mhm.
other and I wasn't actually a customer. And so I was just thinking, is this the business that I know of from afar? Because I had known some other entrepreneurial friends who were subscribers.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a little bit of digging around. And when you connect to inquire about a business, most people aren't connecting to you, right?
Mhm.
Because you used an intermediary. So, and I believe you've done maybe a show on that before.
Yes, where
Yeah,
where we talked about Christine from the Magnolia Firm. She was amazing. She was that middle person to help me understand what needed to happen and honestly to vet buyers before she brought them to me. She didn't want to bring me the tire kickers. She just wanted to bring the people that were truly interested and were a qualified applicant to purchase the business.
totally. And so that's actually what happened. So our first interaction in this whole thing was not with you, it was with
Mhm.
Christine. And I think it was with Christine a couple of times. It was like first with her team, and then it was with her. And I think there was maybe a third with her again before we were looped into you. So it's a process, from
Yeah.
both angles.
But it worked. It actually worked really fast for both of us. So you inquired about the business, you started talking to my intermediary. Was there anything as you were searching to buy a business, were you drawn to subscription boxes or was this just it fell in your lap and it happened to be a subscription box that you were interested in?
Yeah, so more the latter. So for us, we knew it had to be something that we were passionate about, that we had a genuine interest in. It could have been anything, right? But we didn't know what that was. And it just so happened to be a subscription box, which I love. And we can
Right?
get into that in a bit. But yeah, it's not that we were searching for a sub box. It just so happened that it was.
Okay. Well,
Right.
I mean, the recurring revenue part of subscription boxes is such a draw for a business owner. So, yeah, I think if I were looking to buy a business, it would definitely be on my mind of what's the revenue potential for this and to see recurring revenue. I mean, come on.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I'm with you, girl.
Okay, so we did have some mutual friends, which was kind of nice because after the first time we chatted, of course, I like looked you up on Facebook and LinkedIn and all the things. And seeing the mutual friends kind of gave me that little bit of confidence too that, okay, she's already in this entrepreneur space. One of our colleagues that we both had that we didn't know each other, but we had this mutual connection was the Product Boss, and they're great coaches as well. And highly recommend them if you're creating your own product. So, all right, let's talk more about running a subscription box because now, again, we're 6 months in. I
Wow.
have had my hands off the box for about 6 months. That first month, I was pretty hands on with you guys because it was like drinking water out of a fire hose, learning the business and the back end, curating boxes. I helped you a lot with that first month. But I noticed after that, after 30 days, you were pretty self-sufficient. You only tapped into my knowledge base here and there. I was really impressed.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. Yeah, so we're 6 months in. So I would love to share everything. I love running the behind the scenes. I'd love to share
Yes,
all of those components with you.
let's
Okay. So
talk.
Let's talk. Let's get to the tea. So I love, it's like going shopping every month. That's what I feel. And obviously
Yes.
I'm planning the boxes, months out in advance, but I'm not actually purchasing them because of inventory and just inventory
Sure.
storage. And I'll go into that in a bit. But I love this idea of what is something cool, fun, actually useful that other entrepreneurial women can use in their own businesses. So I love the shopping idea. It's super fun. It's fresh, it's different, it's new, kind of, every month. So there's that. The theming, right? So first, obviously, I'm creating the themes every month prior and then going shopping for it. But I find the theme so much fun. And it kind of is in line with what I was doing before with my other business, which every piece of jewelry actually had a message and a theme that went with the piece. So I feel like that's kind of similar and that's kind of stayed with me. And so that to me really pumps me up. The third piece though is, so I feel like I'm actually the avatar for this business. I'm an entrepreneur myself. And when I was in my first business, I consumed every piece of everything you could find.
Yes.
Every podcast, every book. What course can I do? What course is free? How much does that course cost? Oh gosh, it's too expensive, but I'm going to do it anyway, or whatever. And so because I had consumed so much of that for years, and now I feel like, and I'm still in it because I'm running this business. I'm an entrepreneur. So it's almost like I'm alongside the customers.
Yes.
I love thinking about it from truly the customer point of view and what training can they benefit from? What book is really going to move the needle for them? And that part truly lights me up to no end. It's like the shopping for the stuff is amazing and it's so fun. But what high caliber trainer can we bring in that's going to really impact a subscriber's business?
Yeah, if you're watching the video, guys, like you could just see the passion pouring out as you're talking about it. As I said to you privately, I was like, I feel like such a proud mama bear. Like it's in such good hands. And you can tell from the other side that you're putting a lot of thought into the curation of the themes, the guest experts. I mean, you've got some big guest experts coming up. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Before we dive into that, I want to tell everyone, like, you did not run a subscription box prior to this. I had created SOPs, which are standard operating procedures, and kind of put together this playbook. You guys came out to our home warehouse so that you could learn hands-on, and then you're figuring out the rest on your own. Was there anything that really surprised you about running a subscription box?
Yes. And that was, so it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, you can get educated, someone can fill you in, but you really won't know till you are in it, which I feel like could be said of on any scenario for anyone. What really surprised me was just the inventory, like the massive amounts of inventory and the space. So my husband's got a home office. I have a home office. We also have a home warehouse. A third of our garage is now dedicated to all things Sparkle Hustle Grow, which is amazing, but you really have to have a system in place. For example, like when I was running Asha Blooms, and I'm just going to make up a number here, but if we were to send out 500 necklaces a month, the square footage of how much that would actually take is super small compared to the square footage of what a subscription box really needs. Because in a typical box, you've got 5-ish products, give or take, right? Full size products. So it's not just like the boxes stacked on top of each other. It's like the books, the tech gadget, everything comes in its own box, and they are often boxes wrapped in boxes wrapped in boxes. So when they come to you, it comes and nothing's broken, nothing's ripped, nothing, the integrity of that piece is still there. So I think just the physical piece and the figuring out of that piece, the process was a big learning for us because it was so different from what we had been used to before.
That makes total sense. And the fact that when you purchased the business, you did invest in a significant amount of inventory that I had on hand already. So, when you first took over the business, we shipped out, what was it, like 2 pallets? I don't remember. It was so much stuff, but it allowed you to be equipped with shop items to immediately start selling things. But that was probably a shock when that showed up.
It sure was. That was another thing. So it was like where it's residential because we're running everything out of our home office. And the questions that were asked were very different from before. I had to quickly figure out what is a lift gate. Like, it's like, what? I don't understand what that means. So, like, because the things are coming and they're so huge, they're massive. The truck that's coming on needs to have a gate where it can actually come down and then it can be rolled into the garage. So all of those kind of logistical things were surprising, but we got it
And
done.
so
Like, you figure it out,
you do. That's where there's a will, there's a way.
Totally.
And I think just talking about lift gates, if you guys haven't heard about a lift gate, think about if a very large shipment is coming to you on a truck. I'm not talking about like your regular US Postal Service little truck or van that shows up. Sometimes these larger shipments are going to be packed on pallets or very large boxes. And in order to move those heavy packages from said truck to your warehouse space, you are either going to have to break it down, which we've done that in the past, where we've had to work with the truck driver, break it down so that we could move it, or have a lift gate. A lift gate, think about it as like a little elevator at the back of the truck to lower it down, and then you can move it. And even then, sometimes we've had pallets just dropped in our driveway before. And it's like, okay, now what? So those were moments where maybe we had to break it down. I know a lot of other box owners that deal with that. They have some sort of equipment to help move that. And so it just depends on what size packaging you're receiving. But we got to tell this story. So recently you experienced something for the first time that something didn't fit in the box, right?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Please tell that story because people are going to resonate with it.
Oh my goodness. Yes. So I had everything, mapped out to a T because I get samples and proofs of every single product that's going to go in the box just to make sure it's going to fit, the thing is going to close. So we are good to go. Well, we had a couple things happen. First of all, we had massive delays here in the area. So that impacted us because, in theory, if something arrives 1 or 2 months beforehand and it's a wrong size than what I had initially signed off on, I could go back and say, hey, let's swap this out. So I didn't have time for that.
Okay.
So
what were the delays? Was it weather related or?
Weather related? Yeah. We had huge ice storms here in Seattle. And so I don't know if anyone saw any videos on social media, but like cars that were parked on little hills they were sliding. Parked cars were sliding. Yes. Everything froze over. And so it was just a big mess. And so obviously no large trucks could get by and actually come to us because first there was snow, then there was ice, and it was just, everything was delayed. It was just, oh my, but you know what's so funny is I knew it was going to work out. I'm like, we're going to make it work. Even if we have to meet the truck, which is what happened. We had to meet one of the trucks down at our hill at like a Home Depot to get the product.
We've done that. Oh yeah. 100 times. We have a Tractor Supply that has a massive parking lot and even like back areas where the big trucks go through. So we've met them there before. I know that feeling. You pack up your car, right?
Yeah. So you totally get it. Yes. So we had the delay. Okay, fine. So we're expecting, when we finally get the product in-house, I open up the box and I'm like, oh my Lord, this is quite bigger than what I had thought. Okay. Because it wasn't what I had really signed off on. So I put all of the pieces into the box and lo and behold, it just doesn't fit. Nothing, like all of the things aren't fitting. This might be a blessing in disguise. One of the products that we had, it was a tray. I love this tray. This tray is like your desk organizer tray, and it can be like a catch-all for anything. It's a good size. It's all good. And it has the words "She Builds" embossed on it. So I love it.
Looks cool. I saw the video. I love the concept.
Oh, love it. Love it. So this tray has snaps on 4 sides.
So it's like is it like a faux leather or something like that?
Okay. You got it. Yeah.
Malleable. Okay.
Malleable. You can do, you can manipulate it however you need. And so what we did before is when we thought all of these things were going to fit in the box, we had actually snapped. The tray is not fitting. The tray is not fitting because one of the pieces that was delayed was just a different dimension, a different size. And so we had to unsnap hundreds of these trays, roll them. Thankfully they rolled, they were rollable, right? And figure out a way to make it work. We had to really think on the fly because I didn't want any of these things to be delayed, nor did I want to honestly spend extra money on shipping. Because I thought
reprint packing lists.
Exactly.
And we've been in that situation before where instead of reprinting the packaging list, I've run by two options where you just print out a little card and put it in there. There's been a substitution product. You just throw that card in there, or you could get stickers like labels and cover it up, but that's a lot of work. So, I'm glad you were able to make it work. And I loved how you did a video in the subscriber group to explain how to use the product, but also what happened behind the scenes, because I think that transparency goes so far with subscribers to see that it's like a real person behind the scenes, to see how much thought and action has to happen behind the scenes to make this product so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted the subscribers to know, like, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Things happen as a small business owner, and you have to figure it out on the fly. And I love Marie Forleo's book, Everything is Figure Outable.
Mhm.
That's one of my mantras in life. So that's kind of what I instituted here. It's like, you know what? Everything is figure outable. After I had a moment, I definitely had a moment where I'm
Have
like,
your moment. Yes.
oh my gosh, I was disappointed. I was angry. There may have been a couple tears behind the scenes, but
Sure.
it's like, figure it out. You
Yeah.
figure it out after it kind of gets out of your body. And I really wanted to share that with subscribers so they knew we're all in this together.
I
Yeah.
love that. Well, and one little piece of advice here, if you're listening and you're like, okay, I never want that to happen to me. One, have a lot of communication with your vendors, but sometimes things like that happen. If you can afford it, like if you can make it work with the budget, always have 1 to 2 small items on backup that are non-specific for any theme that could be just like thrown in there at any given moment. I've been in those situations where something was delayed so long that it just wasn't going to make it in time. Even if I tried delaying the shipping date for a couple days, it wasn't going to work. But having that backup item or two on hand can really reduce the stress level. And one of the places that I get some items like that, it could be literally, you could get stuff on Amazon or like coleimports.com. Those are great places to get inexpensive items that can kind of, I don't want to call them filler items, but they're almost like those, oh no, what am I going to do? Like, I need to fill this with something. And I've actually done that, and I've not put it on the packing list. And when I did my unboxing video, I would say there was a surprise item. If you can just spin things sometimes too, in that positive kind of point of view, it can really work out in everyone's favor.
I totally agree. Absolutely. Such a good piece of advice.
So do you have any advice for someone who might be actually interested in buying a subscription box business like you did?
Yeah. I think, know kind of the moving pieces of inventory. I think that was a big thing for us. Just know it's going to be constantly moving with all of the different pieces for whatever the subscription box is, something to just be mindful of. And then this piece of advice is just kind of for anyone who runs any business. It's like, yes, know your customer. Yes, know what pain point you're solving for them. Like, it's got to be more than just a box of stuff. Like, what is it that you're aiming to do? And then know where they're hanging out. I think that's super imperative so that you can be talking to them, with them together. So it's like collective.
I love that. And knowing where they're hanging out makes it so that you don't get spread thin being in all the places.
Completely.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us what's coming down the pipeline for Sparkle, Hustle, Grow.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this stuff. So I'm going to actually kick it off with who we have for January. We've got Jada Selner as the guest expert. She has a phenomenal book called She Builds. That's in the box right now. She's offering our community, so the subscribers, a hot seat. And those winners were just announced today. Everyone got an email. I'm super, super pumped for that. So even if you're not a winner, you come, you get something from it, and there will probably be time for a Q&A after.
Nice.
So she's offering that to our group, as well as like a book club and a quarterly planning up. So it's like top notch beyond. I'm so pumped.
Right at the beginning of the year, perfect theme for like kicking off the new year. Let's do it, right?
Exactly. Let's do it. And we have a quarterly wall planner piece, like the actual product in the box. So everything just works out. We've got her, we've got a phenomenal social media boutique agency owner coming to talk to our group in February. Our theme is all about social media, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, what have you. So phenomenal. I cannot wait for that training.
That's cool.
We also have the incredible Amy Porterfield. She is going to do something for our group. I'm so pumped. Her book is coming out. I feel like I don't even have to say anything more. Just Amy Porterfield, you know?
Right?
So
Can I tell you a secret? When I first started my business, she was on my bucket list of Amy Porterfield will be in Sparkle Hustle Grow one day, right? And throughout those 6 years that I owned the business, I met her in different moments at one of her events, at an event that we were set up at. And all along the way, I was kind of nurturing this relationship so she could see that there's value in this box. She could see her colleagues being a part of the box. And it was 1 year before I sold the business, I made a video pitch. I created this video to show her how she was part of the Sparkle Hustle Grow journey without even knowing it. And now I extended the invitation for her to join it. I sent that to her and her team in the summer of 2021. And I just, touched base throughout the years. I'm not even kidding you. The day after we announced the sale of the business, her team reached out to me unknowingly that I sold the business, but reached out and said, we'd like to invite you on the podcast.
oh
It's
my
like
God.
right? It's like when one door closes, another door opens. And that timing was so serendipitous because had I been on the podcast right when I pitched it or shortly after, I'd have been talking about Sparkle Hustle Grow, which is fine. But my new season isn't Sparkle Hustle Grow. My new season is subscription box coaching. And so
Right.
I had the honor of being on her podcast talking about subscription boxes. And it was just so wild. So I wanted to tell you that backstory. And now it is like full circle that she is going to be involved in the box.
It really is. It just goes to show you, it's like, write your dreams down, right? Like nurture that, visualize
Plant the
it,
seed.
plant it, and then sit back and I'm not saying sit back and wait and like, don't do anything, but it's just, it really goes to show you, you're not starting from ground zero. Like everything is building on top of each other. So
yes. And the grass is greener where you water it.
Exactly. I love that so much. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So sorry, we got sidetracked.
Oh my
Amy
gosh, no worries.
Porterfield, what's
Okay.
after that?
Lisa Bilyeu. I'm so pumped. Yes. So Lisa has a book out, Radical Confidence. For those of you who don't know, Lisa Bilyeu and her husband co-founded Quest Nutrition. They exited Quest Nutrition for $1 billion. That's with a B.
Can you imagine?
I
Chills.
cannot
I just got
imagine.
chills.
I know. So she's going to do something just for our group. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for her. We also have Candace Nelson in the lineup. She's founder of Sprinkles and More. I have seen
Love
so
her.
much of her out in the media. Yes, I cannot wait for her training for our group and for her book, of course. And then we've also got Rachel Luna, who's going to round out the first 6 months this year of 2023. For those who don't know, Rachel Luna hosts a podcast called Permission to Offend. It is phenomenal. I love everything that she stands for. She's got a book coming out and she's going to do something phenomenal for our group as well.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I had the honor of meeting her actually at an Amy Porterfield event, and she was so lovely. I was having a vulnerable moment at the event, and she was sitting next to me, and she was just so attentive, and she was going through a hard time herself. And it's just that support you can feel from someone who you just met was amazing. So I just can't imagine this level of support that she's going to provide in the Sparkle Hustle Grow group. This is all so very exciting. I'm super impressed by the high caliber, expert level, like Olympic level entrepreneurs here that you'll be featuring. So tell everybody how they can get involved in Sparkle Hustle Grow as part of their entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would say go run to your computer, run to your phone, sign up, because we have so many great nuggets for you as we support you in whatever stage of business you're in. And we're for both product and service-based businesses. It's not just one, but we've got a special deal for your listeners. Can get their first month for 50% off of a subscription when they sign up, and welcome to use code JulieSubBox, all one word, to get 50% off their first month.
Thank you so much. We will put that in the show notes, and the link to subscribe is sparklehustlegrow.com. And that's the same handle too on all the social medias, right?
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, this has been so much fun catching up with you and just like talking about what it was like from your end, because I've done a couple episodes of what it was like selling. So it was so interesting to hear from you about what it was like to buy, what it was like to put things together, and some of the challenges and the fun stuff.
Yeah, I love this so much. It was perfect to hit us right at 6 months.
Well, I'm so proud of you and what you've done with Sparkle Hustle Grow. I'm just going to say it publicly. So
Oh,
thank you for taking care of my baby.
oh my gosh, of course. I'm so honored. Thank you.
Thanks, Carol. And guys, go check it out, sparklehustlegrow.com. I know you've heard about the box in the past, but Carol and her team, her husband, have really brought new life to the business. Thanks for listening today. Thanks, Carol, for joining me, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.